Neighbors and Steve Moulton. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline, 256-576-4977.
That's how I roll.
And I'm not going to drink and drive anymore.
That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Wes and Steve.
Another week is upon us. Hope everyone had a safe and happy 4th of July as we welcome you to our first full week of July 2022. And it is honestly a somber note as I think we can say good friend of the program. Hammer and Hank was on with us quite a few times. In fact, Hammer and Hank was one of those guests that would call me outside of coming on the air. Only a handful of people. It's not as if we pay guests to come on like some other places. And Hammer and Hank would call me every once in a while. One, he wanted to know whether or not we were in trouble because we had them on because we're an ESPN radio affiliate. The other was, we haven't talked betting in a while, so why don't we talk a little betting? But I'm sincerely going to miss those conversations on and off the air with Hammer and Hank. And certainly thoughts and prayers to his family as 82 years old was Hammer and Hank. On his birthday yesterday is when he passed away. How are you, Wes Neighbors? I'm
doing good. And we all love Hammer and Hank. He's down in Miami with was good friends with Snellenberger and Shula and Bob Greasy and anyway, had a lot of ties to him.
So I went through our previous conversations and we had quite a few of them. They were mainly around Kentucky Derby, but there were a few conversations that we had outside of horse racing that we got into Jimmy the Greek. And that is how we're going to close this program here today with that, because later in life, Hammer and Hank would go to the horse races with Don Shula once a month, and I talked a little bit about that. And one of his first real jobs, in his words, was being in the PR department for the Miami Dolphins, and then hence he took over Miami Radio, Miami Sports Talk Radio, for a couple of decades. In fact, built up one radio station, got fired from that radio station, went to the competing radio station, got better numbers than the one he went to. And so I just, he's sorely going to be missed.
No question.
But if you ever needed to find out an opinion about something, all you had to do was ask Hammer and Hank, because he would tell you. And it does make me wonder what he would say about what's going on right now in college football. My favorite moment of the day today happened 6 hours ago from the Pac-12 Twitter handle, @Pac-12, when they uttered the statement, the Pac-12 Board of Directors met this morning and authorized the conference to immediately begin negotiations for its next media rights agreement. I say that to say, in case you have not heard, Dennis Dodd is reporting today from CBS Sports that the Big 12 are in deep discussions to add as many as 6 Pac-12 teams. Now, a couple of schools have said, nope, that's not true. In fact, Utah was contacted, and they did respond saying there is not anything to Utah being involved with these discussions. But, as I mentioned, Dennis Dodd references quite a number of schools. The Pac-12's current deal, television deal, expires in 2024. And there is a lot of moving parts at the moment in college football and what college football is going to look like moving forward.
You know, it's one of those things where I was shocked. I mean, the Pac-12. What are they going to do about the Rose Bowl? The Rose Bowl's gone.
Yeah, it's done. And that was one of the bigger hindrances of expansion in the college football playoff was the Rose Bowl. And that is now no longer an issue. The Pac-12, the Rose Bowl, in all intents purposes, I'd never thought I'd say this phrase, is just another bowl. I mean, I never thought I'd utter that sentence in my lifetime because the Pac-12, the Rose Bowl has always been kind of this larger than life, had its own parade, the Rose Bowl parade. It felt different. It felt bigger than other bowls, but this tie-in with the Big 12 and the Pac-12, or the Big 10 and the Pac-12, is just, it's done. It's gone.
Well, they just absorbed the two best teams. So, well, the two teams in the LA area, which is where all the people are.
Yeah. So it does kind of, at least in their intermediate time, think about what is happening to...
It appears there are going to be 4 conferences.
And Pac-12 is pretty much all she wrote. There may be a Pac-12, but it would be a Pac-12 that would absorb what? Schools from the Big Sky Conference, schools that are out there like Montana, Montana State. I'm sure UNLV would love to be a part of it. And other schools like that, maybe San Diego State. I mean, there's plenty of schools out there that do have football programs, but there is definitely a tier system of the haves and have-nots, for lack of a better term, between the SEC and the Big Ten. We are going to get divisions, pods, whatever they may be. Just take a look at the NFC and the AFC in the National Football League, and that might be kind of a good blueprint as to what is coming in college football. We are creeping up on SEC Media Days, and our previews of the preview will continue as, believe it or not, we are, a little over a week and a half away from hauling our butts over to Atlanta and saddling up for talk season, as Coach Steve Spurrier calls SEC Media Days. And so our previews of the preview today will stop in Columbia, South Carolina. We will talk some Gamecock football today, and we will do so from Tommy Suggs, who's a part of the South Carolina Gamecock Radio Network. We're going to squeeze in Trevor Maddich. In fact, Trevor he's good about texting me in the first segment whenever we get him on, but we love his insight. And ESPN's Trevor Maddich had a thing or two to say last night on ESPN Radio about where he sees college football going, and wanted to get him on about that as well. And our previews of the preview will continue in hour number 2, straight up at 6 o'clock. Ron Higgins is set to join us at 6 o'clock as we will talk some Bayou Bengal football down in Red Stick, and ask the questions after spring number 1 is in the books for Brian Kelly, making that trek from Notre Dame land down to Red Stick here in the Southeastern Conference. And again, we have gone through Vanderbilt, Missouri, Mississippi State, and Auburn through our previews so far as we continue to climb the ladder. Now, the odds have since been updated, but we are going with the odds that were released in middle June. And your odds today, South Carolina is a plus 8,000 to win the Southeastern Conference. LSU is a plus 5,000. Now, LSU and Arkansas have the same number at a plus 5,000. Arkansas and LSU, those are two teams with gigantic question marks of, certainly we know the Razorbacks are bringing back quite a bit, and especially at the quarterback position with KJ Jefferson, but losing a lot of leaders off of what was a super senior heavy squad last year. But fit seems to be the correct word when talking about Sam Pittman and the Arkansas Razorbacks. As for fit, we have yet to really see it play out between Brian Kelly and LSU. I do wonder in that first year, do you remember Nick Saban's first year where he was trying to weed out some stuff that was going on? And I realize the textbook scandal was part of that, but took a year to kind of lay the groundwork of what Coach Saban did in Tuscaloosa.
Well, he had a lot of injuries also that
He did,
year.
yeah.
I think they started a 135-pound running back against Auburn. And but had the textbook scandal. But you have to get, you have to lay a base. And played a lot of freshmen that year. I think LSU will be a similar. I think they'll be a 500 team. But they'll beat some teams they shouldn't have. They should. But I think they're in play for anybody in the West to beat.
As for South Carolina, boy, nothing was expected last year for the Gamecocks, and there is no doubt that they overachieved in a big way, and they went into the transfer portal and grabbed a big name that it was at least gotten plenty of hype with Spencer Rattler coming from Oklahoma, and certainly the ties that Coach Beamer has to the OU staff and his previous stop did not hurt. But where will South Carolina land this season? But we will talk some Gamecock and LSU Tiger football in our previews. Coming up tomorrow, we will turn our attention to those Hogs that I previously mentioned, Arkansas, and also the Tennessee Volunteers as well, as we continue to ascend the ladder. Arkansas and LSU with the same odds at a plus 5,000 to win the Southeastern Conference. Tennessee at a plus 4,500 to win the Southeastern Conference. So we will talk some Vol football coming up tomorrow. Of course, we're live here at the Furniture Factory.
Tennessee's been getting some good recruits in the last couple of days, too.
Yes, they have.
They have, I think Josh Heupel's going to turn it around. I really do. I think he.
So the lowest of the lows for Tennessee was last January.
Yeah, I said if they won 6 games, he ought to get Coach of the Year, and I believe that. Still going to have to deal with the people studying right now, trying to figure out. The first time you get to play him, it's hard studying his film somewhere else.
Yeah,
and he's going to change with the players. But this year they'll have film on him, so the good teams will catch up a little bit to him. But if you have better players, then it doesn't matter, right?
Correct.
And
your schedule.
Yeah. So.
And we'll dive into that coming up.
And I think Tennessee will have better players in the next few years. I think this is the guy for the job. Now you got to worry about him going somewhere else.
Well, I mentioned we're pretty guest heavy, including re-racking conversation that we had a couple of conversations we had with the late great Hammer and Hank Goldberg, and of course we're live here at the Furniture Factory Bar and Grill. Jen, how are you?
I am hot. How are you?
It feels all right back here. The fans are going. Man, that fan right there in
It's
particular.
phenomenal. Have you ever
Holy
seen
cow.
anything like it? It's
I've seen it
a
at theme
machine.
parks. I have. Dollywood has a couple of those right there, and that's the
Yes.
only time I've ever seen that vortex.
You know, it kind of gives you that nice wet hair look where it kind of gives you that.
Well, we're not in
Nice
front of it. In
vibe.
front of it. Here's the thing. I think the temperature is about 15 degrees cooler here
It is
than
Yeah.
what it with that thing than without.
100%. It just lowers that mist, just lowers that temperature.
Yes,
doesn't
it
it?
does.
Yeah.
So we can still be out here and enjoy it.
Absolutely.
Because I came here a little early to set up, and from then to now,
It's 100% different,
oh
isn't
my
it?
goodness.
Yes. Everybody needs one of those.
Yeah.
no
This time
question
of
about
year?
that. Yeah.
How are y'all?
We're good. We're good. Creeping up towards SEC Media Days.
Oh.
You want to
Football
come
season.
over and be our special correspondent?
Oh, I'd love to, but I don't even know what the heck that is.
So that's perfect. That's
Oh
perfect.
my goodness. I would be terrible at that. Goodness, I'd get all my lingo mixed up, and before you know it, we'd be talking about football and hockey and baseball and
It sounds
Oh.
like you know what you're talking about.
well.
So what's going on at the factory this week?
Oh, we've got a great weekend. You like the Space Donkeys?
Yes, I do.
Yes.
Yes, they're coming. So our weekend is looking great. Space Donkeys, they're fun. So we're going to have a lot of dancing, great music. I think we've got some full bands for the weekend. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
You like them? So we got we've got the 90s party. So we've got that. Danny C, he's amazing.
Yes,
you like
he
that,
is.
DJ?
Yes.
Sometimes it's fun to have a little relief from a band and have just a great DJ
Absolutely.
with good music.
Yeah.
So Danny is phenomenal. So we've got all that. Bike night will be good. So we've got bike night coming up. So, between all of us, Eric Taylor, he'll be tomorrow night. So that'll
Wild
be a good
West.
night.
Is it Wild
We're
West?
still doing the Wild West thing,
Yeah.
yes, because people still like wings and tots. So who doesn't?
Who does?
Now, wearing cowboy boots, it is a little warm for cowboy boots, but I'm just saying, that doesn't mean you can't get out there with that nice big old mister, huh?
Yeah.
So, yes, we've got a great weekend, and it's our reunion season. So, we are starting to heat up with several this month. So, we're going to have reunions.
We're having
at Haven.
our reunion. We're having our 10th reunion here.
That's right. Are you coming to that?
Yes.
10.
Which night is it?
10.
First
It's
factory? Saturday
the
night?
15th.
10-3.
The 15th?
Mm-hmm. Are
Is
you
that
coming
on
to
Saturday?
that? It's on a Friday.
Friday.
Yes.
Okay, yes.
Yes. Oh, well, I'll do it extra special just
that's-
because you're going to be there.
That's a week
That's
from
good.
Friday.
There you go.
So what we do is, we let everybody visit and take pictures and all that jazz. And then when they're tired of each other, we just send them out back.
There you go.
How's that?
That sounds like a plan.
It's
So
a
who's
mystery.
playing next Friday night?
Well, I don't know. It's too early to ask me that. But I will know.
Yeah.
You will.
Okay.
Okay.
And I'll let you know in time.
And karaoke tonight.
Yes.
Pedro's birthday.
Absolutely. Pedro really did have a birthday. Did you? Okay, you want to hear something funny? He really does have a real birthday. You know how every Tuesday
I
it's
think
his birthday?
everybody has a birthday, yeah.
Well, I know, but for Pedro, he has a birthday. Every week it's Pedro's birthday. Ha ha ha, right?
Right.
So Tuesday, after we finished our little show, I went in there and I said, "Hey, really, when is your birthday?" He said, "It's today." It really was last Tuesday. Can
No
you believe
way.
that?
Did you verify this?
I really
Or did you
did.
just
Or
take
you're
his
going to
word
ask
for
him
it?
today, and he's
Well,
going to say
I
today.
thought he was kidding. Well, I guess I should verify it, maybe. But we had a big old party for him. We did. Well,
That's
all that to
fantastic.
say, it's still Pedro's birthday.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Minus the cake and candles. We did that already.
There you go.
But the tequila is great. Specials are good. We've got Mexican tonight, so if anybody's hungry for great, authentic Mexican, that
It
is
is.
tonight.
It is awesome.
Yes.
Chili
So,
Rollinos. How do you say it?
Not
Chili-
like that.
How do
Chili
you say it?
rellenos.
There you go.
That
That
sound
sounded
better.
like just like I said.
Oh, my goodness. Have you been drinking?
Not yet.
Oh, yeah. Boy, I'm fixing to.
Is this vodka or water?
I mean, right?
It's water.
all that to be said, we've got great things coming up at both Haven and the Furniture Factory.
So
this week.
if they have a party,
Yes.
it can be any kind of party, right?
Well, and birthdays. People love to do birthdays here. I always say this is an affordable place to have a birthday because now that we have all those couches, I've got 3 VIP areas. I'll treat you real good. A lot of times, if you rent a spot for the evening, I'll even throw in chicken tenders and wings and make it worth your while so you don't have to wait on the kitchen. I'll have it right there for you. So we love to serve that way, and it makes a cheap way to do a birthday and have a lot of people have a good time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I had my 30th birthday here.
There you go.
30th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
well,
I actually had my 50th birthday here. Had a blast. It was unbelievable time. And now that was before they had the Haven. Now you have the Haven.
well, where if you want to kick it up a notch, you can kick it up a notch.
Yeah.
So both.
So how do they get in touch with you? They want to have a party for any
for
occasion.
any of them, I'm your girl.
Weddings, whatever.
Yes, rehearsal dinners. It's that season too. But you can call me at 256-426-1989. It's a great year, right?
Oh, absolutely.
You can remember that. Or thehavenal.com or FurnitureFactoryBarGrill.com.
There you go.
Awesome.
Good.
Thank you, Jen.
Thank you. It's happy hour.
Yes, it is. We'll be right back as we'll dive into the South Carolina Gamecocks, our previews of the preview. Also, Trevor Maddich later this first hour.
You're listening to The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
The world champs are back. The Braves are out to defend their world championship. And behind Matt Olson, Ronald Acuna, Dansby Swanson, Max Fried, and this loaded 2022 roster, a repeat is within reach.
There goes Ozzie, 2-2 on the way, hit well. Deep center field. Might have ourselves a tie ball game. You betcha.
And we'll bring you every huge moment of the Braves 2022 season right here on the Atlanta Braves Radio Network.
This is Wes Neighbors talking to Chris Haygood of Bob Wallace Appliance. Chris, what sets you apart from other appliance dealerships?
Wes, these appliances are going into the most used room in your house, your kitchen. The way we have these appliances displayed, it's easy for you to visualize how they'll look in your home. Wes, what sets us apart is the people. They're well trained. In fact, they live and breathe these appliances. And if you need service, you'll really appreciate our parts department.
Contact Bob Wallace Appliance at 256-533-2121.
Tom Luganbill here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
In 1982, Bob Baumhauer introduced Alabama to the Buffalo Wild Wing, and quite frankly, we've never been the same. Back then, it was Wings and Things in Tuscaloosa, but now, 40 years later, after 4 name changes, Baumhauer's Victory Grill is the #1 sports-themed restaurant in the state. Bob's Alabama Hot Chicken is something that has to be tried to believe, plus the new Bam Bam Chicken and the Louisiana-style Go Fish, a whitefish over rice topped with shrimp etouffee. And Baumhauer's is fighting inflation with some new affordable favorites. Visit Baumhauer's on the South Parkway today.
I'm attorney Gary Lackey. You know, you'll hear people say we're like a family, but here at the Lackey Law Firm, that's really true, not just a saying.
I'm Justin Lackey. With my father and my sister, we have a special connection to each other.
I'm Jennifer Lackey. At the Lackey Law Firm, when we take on your case, you become part of our family. You really do.
And we'll always do whatever it takes to get everything you deserve.
If you're injured, you worry about getting well, not about paperwork or insurance companies or figuring out how to get to your lawyer's office. I'll come to you.
We worry about your case so you don't have to.
When you've been injured, we know that your case is probably the biggest thing going on in your life. More important than almost anything else.
And it's important to us too, for one simple reason. Family takes care of each other, and at the Lackey Law Firm, we'll take care of you.
The Lackey Law Firm. The Lackey Law Family. 1-800-4RIGHTS.
Your representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
Hello, listeners. I want to tell you a little bit about Minuteman Press and what we have to offer our community. We specialize in paper printing and can help from designing your piece to the finished product. We print media guides for many of the athletic departments at high schools and universities around the area. We typically purchase sponsorships from these schools as well to try and help them with their fundraising. Once we have reached our new normal, we also print all types of marketing materials free to hand out either in person, via mail, or at various trade shows and events. At Minuteman Press, we're not just putting ink on paper, we're building relationships.
Our zone deal this week is truly an award winner. Metro Diner serving up signature dishes like their Charleston shrimp and grits, famous fried chicken and waffles with strawberry butter, and lots more. Their entire menu is available anytime, breakfast, lunch, or dinner. And stop by for brunch on Saturday or Sunday and enjoy the lowest priced mimosas in town. Airport Road, Huntsville, and Highway 72 in Madison. Right now, you can get $50 worth of great Metro Diner food for half price, just $25 with our zone deal. Just log on 977ESPN.com to get yours.
This segment of The Drive is brought to you by Woody Anderson Ford, located online at WoodyAndersonFord.com with 2 locations, Hughes Road in Madison and Jordan Lane in Huntsville.
Back here at the Furniture Factory Bar and Grill, along with Wes Neighbors. Steve Moulton back here with you. Time to dive into our previews of the preview and get ready for the South Carolina Gamecocks, coming off of a 7-win season last year and in what is year 2 of Coach Shane Beamer. And who better to talk Gamecock football? He wore the uniform. He's, regarded as one of the school's all-time greatest quarterbacks, as well as Tommy Suggs is kind enough to join us. How are you, sir?
I'm fine. Thank you very much.
It is a pleasure to get you back on. And, wow, what a introduction for Coach Beamer last year when expectations were not all that high, sir.
Well, that's true. I think a lot of times people forget. For 2 years, we won a total of 6 games, so we were pretty much in the dumpster. And Shane came in with his staff. He had to put a staff together at the last minute, and did a pretty good job there. And he really focused on culture and playing for the University of South Carolina, not just for yourself. He used a word that we sometimes as men don't use enough, and that was love. And the players attached to him very quickly. And I think a couple of times early in the year when we were outmanned, we still won. And that carried on really throughout the year. The 2 bad games we really played poorly in were Clemson and Missouri. And other than that, we played pretty much to our expectations and actually to our talent level. So we're very pleased. Particularly in the bowl game, they ended up with North Carolina victory there. So, yeah, it was a good year, a lot of excitement.
That and getting dumped on with mayonnaise. I'm not sure how high on the list that was for Coach Beamer, but it certainly made a different looking photo opportunity there.
Well, it did, and Shane's not a mayonnaise fan. He made that very clear. But afterwards, when they wanted to do some sponsors with him and all, he changed his mind, and all of a sudden he likes mayonnaise. And,
yeah, putting it on a hot dog now, isn't he?
We all love mayonnaise, but it was fun. It was a great year to end the year, and just a lot of fun. And we always have a nice little rivalry with North Carolina, although we've handed it to them pretty much the last few years. But it's been fun.
So when you look at the schedule for next year, you open up with Georgia State, but it gets pretty hairy early.
Yeah, it does. Arkansas is I think Coach Pittman's done a good job up there. Of course, then you got the Bulldogs coming in. But, it is what it is. What the heck, you play them. That's why you're in the SEC. And you got to be ready, and that's the fun thing about it. And that's why it's the best college football league in the country. And hopefully will continue to be. So, you recruit to that level, you play to that level, you coach to that level. And if you lose 2 out of the first 3, or you lose all 3, you can't quit. You got to keep going. But it's not what you want to have coming out of the chute, I guess.
Well, I do remember that momentum out of the gate early. The win at East Carolina really stood out to me, Tommy, on help kind of giving that team a little bit of confidence moving forward.
Yeah, that was an ugly win. It was one of the ugliest I've ever broadcast. But I don't even know why we play up there, but we do as part of the contract. But tough place to play, good university, good people. But I told Shane after the game, because I go down on the field after the game while he's filming his TV show for Sunday, and I said, they just didn't quit. It was the first half was so ugly. The second half wasn't much better, except we just wouldn't quit, and we found a way to win. And sometimes that's what you have to do in life and also football, and we did it. And I think that was a key to saving our year and getting us back on track and building. Actually, I guess it was taking everything they say at practice and off the field and putting it on the field and winning with it. So, big teaching moment for the coaching staff, and particularly Shane. Good momentum builder.
So the big offseason move, no doubt, is a certain Oklahoma quarterback transferring. Is this Spencer Rattler's job heading into the fall?
I don't know. I've talked to Shane a lot about it. He and Emily are very good friends of ours. They worked when they were here the first time, and his dad and mom in town a lot, so see them a good bit. I think it's his to lose. I would think so. I mean, he makes it look very easy. You go to practice, you don't have to know his number. You just look at the one that just makes it easy, and he does. So I was pleased that the tight end and also the quarterback from Oklahoma knew Shane so well, they wanted to come with him, come play with him. And there was nothing, no NIL or anything like that. They just wanted to come play for him. And that's a good sign. But, yeah, I think it's his to lose. And hopefully we got some good ones behind him. Don't get me wrong. We got, the most valuable player in the bowl game is one that we just inserted in there. And I laughed and told Shane that if we had a month to prepare for every team on the schedule, we'd be undefeated because we had a tremendous game plan and executed it well. But getting back to your question, I think it's his to lose, no question.
I did also notice Freddie Kitchens coming to be a part of that staff, and that is certainly a name we know rather well here in the state of Alabama.
Well, he's good. He's very welcomed on our staff, and Shane continues to I think to make the right moves with the staff. He's still blending that crowd together. They're getting to know each other. And the guys have been in coaching, but they hadn't been coaching together, so they're having to learn each other, and the players are having to learn them. So overall, last year there was a lot of learning going on out there, and a lot of it trial by error too. On the coaching side and also the player side. And for that reason, I do think we'll be better this year. But Freddie Kitchens is a phenomenal coach in addition to our staff, and we welcome him.
There is no doubt what kind of wealth he brings as an analyst role there at South Carolina as well. What do you think is South Carolina's biggest strength heading into this fall, Tommy?
I think it's culture. It's a term that some people don't use anymore as much as they should, maybe. But I think in this country, particularly, some of that's lost. But also on football teams, it's more about me, and not playing for the good of the game or for your teammates. Some coaches have that, some don't. Some don't need it because they got so much talent. We're not there yet, but it's culture, it's values, and I think that's what Shane. I know that's what Shane preaches. He builds that in the kids. Some buy in, some don't. But the ones that do, they really love it. They play for him. They play for the university. They play for each other. And candidly, it wasn't quite that way in the past. But we also had some better talent, too, in some cases. But when you're still building from a talent level, I think one of the biggest advantages we have is culture and family. And I think you hear that said a lot. We did a lot, but I think what I'm seeing now, I know what I'm seeing now. It's they're living it here. It's happening. So the transfer portal is going to help us a lot, as it did this year, because kids are going to go to some of the other schools, not play, and they want to come in where they can play, but also feel good about it. And I think Shane and those, I know they're preaching that in the recruiting transfer portal kids, but also we just signed our second 4-star linebacker, got a commitment from our second 4-star linebacker out of Florida. That's pretty good for us. And I think you'll see more of that coming forward.
So, as far as new talent, guys that we need to be on the lookout for, that might not have been their new faces, I guess. Whether that's transfer portal or just freshmen that are coming up and making noise in practice.
Well, since you guys in Huntsville, Alabama, and I hope no Gamecocks in Columbia listen to this, I'm going to just tell you, I really don't know much yet. It's a little early. I'm sitting in the mountains at my mountain house about an hour west of Asheville, North Carolina, and you probably know more than I do. But give me about a month, and I will know it. But I would say that certainly we probably will surprise a few people with a couple of new running backs, a couple of wideouts will surprise some people. We got some of the normals back. Van Bell made a name for himself in the bowl game. Then we got Lloyd and McDowell as running backs. But I think we got a couple behind them and that can play in both positions. I think linebacker core will be better. I think secondary will be it'll be questionable, but certainly better than it has been. As far as particular athletes coming in, I know we've got some that they're counting on, and they're in school now. I was in school, or we're in school, right? But I'd hate to name one of them and have the wrong one, quite honestly. So call me back in 30 days.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Tommy, enjoy that cool weather up there in the Appalachian Mountains. But we sincerely appreciate you hopping on and giving us a little Gamecock knowledge.
I appreciate that. And let me mention one thing. I think it was last year, my wife and I and a bunch of people, we came down to Huntsville, Alabama, and we saw Lee Greenwood's 25th anniversary down there at the Huntsville Auditorium or Coliseum or whatever, and had a good time. And we enjoyed Huntsville, had a big time in Huntsville.
Outstanding. Well, give us a holler next time you're within the city limits.
We'll try to do that. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Tommy. Tommy Suggs from the Gamecock Radio Network, and, of course, played quarterback in the late 60s for the Garnet and Black as well. Let's go ahead and take our final time out. We'll talk some more college football on the other side. Trevor Maddich is on deck.
You're listening to The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Ann Adams with Berkshire Hathaway Rise Real Estate is the one name to know if you're buying or selling real estate. With years of local experience, Ann Adams offers buyers in-depth knowledge of the local housing market and will narrow available properties down to those you'll be interested in so you can save time when shopping for your new home. If you're ready to sell, Ann offers a seamless process using accurate pricing and expert negotiation skills to make sure you get a fair price for your home. Call Ann Adams today at 256-337-2625 or log on bhhsriserealestate.com.
What's better than Valley Equipment Rental? Two Valley Equipment Rentals, and that's just what we have now. The original on the South Memorial Parkway between Drake and Airport Road, and their second location on North Memorial Parkway just north of Winchester Road. Valley Equipment is locally owned and has more skid steers, excavators, and lifts than anyone in the area, plus all the small tools that you need to get the job done like a pro. And if you are a pro, you need to check out the new North location now because Valley Equipment has what you need. Learn more at valleyequipmentrents.com.
Did you know that your car, truck, or SUV may be worth over 30 or 40% more than it was last year? It's true. Bobby White back again for Woody Anderson Ford, and we'd love your trade-in for a personalized custom factory order on a 2022 Explorer, Expedition, Ranger, or F. We interrupt this message to announce our $1,000 appreciation cash reward. Attention all active military, reservists, retirees, and all veterans, plus first responders, police, fire department, EMTs, and medical professionals. In appreciation for making Huntsville the great city it is, you'll receive a $1,000 exclusive reward in addition to any public offers on most all 22 Fords. So please come see us today. Our Ford Gold certified or low mileage, gently used vehicles with great warranties. At Woody Anderson Ford, whether it's a new order or a pre-owned, we promise to always do the right thing. Corner of Jordan and Sparkman, hope to see you soon.
When our lives were interrupted, Madison Academy immediately began distance learning instruction thanks to our Apple device program and a well-prepared faculty.
When our success in athletics led to a new competitive balance rule, Madison Academy was prepared to face the new challenges head-on.
We understand a thing or two about winning, and it always begins with preparation. Learn how our balanced approach to learning prepares the mind, body, and soul. Visit our website at macademy.org to learn more. Strong minds, strong faith. That's Madison Academy.
Great food and the best live entertainment is what it's all about at the Furniture Factory Bar and Grill. Head to downtown Huntsville every Tuesday for karaoke on the only outdoor karaoke stage in North Alabama. Thursday night is the Valley's longest running and biggest bike night. Food and drink specials, giveaways, and live music on the patio. And the Furniture Factory menu is fully loaded with options from steaks to salads, plus a whole lot more. Featuring a weekday happy hour that starts at 3. 619 Meridian Street, downtown Huntsville, and online at FurnitureFactoryBarGrill.com.
SportsMed is the official team physicians of the Rocket City Trash Pandas. And if the pros trust SportsMed, you can too. SportsMed provides every service you might need for complete orthopedic care, specializing in orthopedic surgery, sports medicine, joint replacement, spine surgery, neurosurgery, and podiatry. And they offer their own brace shop, in-house full-body MRI, physical therapy, walk-in clinic, and so much more. 4 locations and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. A partly sunny sky this afternoon. Temperatures climbing into the mid-90s. An isolated to widely scattered shower or thunderstorm is possible through the heart of the afternoon, early into the evening. Don't worry about it, though. Most of us probably going to end up staying dry. Temperatures only drop into the mid-70s as we head into the overnight. A partly sunny sky once again for your Wednesday afternoon. It is literally going to be a rinse and repeat process this week. Temperatures climbing into the mid-90s. Scattered showers possible across the Tennessee Valley, but most of us end up staying dry. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
You know, this process is all about talking ball.
Listen to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond.
What did they want privacy for? To just start talking ball.
Every weekday morning, wake up with Scott and Drew. It's Talkin' Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Just another ho-hum summer months in the world of college football. Not sure what we're going to talk about with our next guest, as Trevor Matich is kind enough to talk to us on loan from ESPN. Trevor, hope you and yours are had a fantastic 4th and certainly appreciate the time.
Sure, Steve. It was great. It was great. It's always great to join you, man. I appreciate you having me on. Especially it's so hot down there. I think you guys would be all sitting in an ice bucket somewhere.
Well, we got a couple of fans on us as we're out here on the patio at the moment. But now it feels pretty good down here in Alabama. But things are certainly heating up out in Pac-12 country.
Oof. Yeah, you know, Pac-12 is – I don't know how they survive at all. I mean, right now, the word is – reports are that the Big 12 is talking to Arizona State, Utah, and Colorado to come over to the Big 12. And the thing is, if all those schools stay, if it becomes the Pac-10, they can survive because Washington, Oregon, Stanford, Utah, they're all big brands. And they'll survive. But it is not in the interest right now of anybody in the Pac-12 to stay put. Because if somebody else leaves, then they'll end up maybe in a conference that either completely goes away or that becomes sort of a glorified Mountain West, and that's it. And so I think that if there is an offer to those 4 schools, it's in their interest to bolt, just in case Washington and Oregon end up bolting to the Big 12, the Big 10 at some point. So right now, I think nobody trusts anybody over there. Everybody is looking out for their own interests. And as soon as they get an opportunity that seems like it would be more stable than what they have now, they're liable to take the bird in the hand rather than sit around and hope for 2 in the bush that may not exist.
So what do you think facilitated this? Is it just the money's so big? I mean, what is the money that's involved in this? Because, you know, USC it's like was a big dog, and now they're going to a place where they're not going to be really the big dog.
No, but I think the money's going to be massive. I mean, last year, 2021, the Big Ten distributed about double the amount of money from media rights to each school, total, divided among 14 teams than the Pac-12 did divided among just 12 teams. But I mean double. And that's last year. It's going to go way up with the next media rights deal that they're about to announce. The thing about USC is that I think they're actually in better shape than a lot of people do. The reason is that there's been no compelling reason for top California talent to stay home at USC in recent years. One of the compelling stories in recruiting over the last several years has been how many California recruits, top California recruits, have left the state. I mean, Alabama's quarterback, Bryce Young, won the Heisman Trophy from California. I think C.J. Stroud, Ohio State quarterback, he's from California as well, right?
Yep.
They're from the same county.
No, how about that? DJ Uiagalelei came out about the same time, and he was one of the top-rated quarterbacks in the country when he left California to go to Clemson. I think Matt Corral over at Ole Miss,
that's right.
now
That's
in
right.
the NFL from California, right? And so and Kayvon Thibodeau is one of those top recruits in California who left Long Beach and went to Oregon, left the state, right? So it's like, well, why can't USC and UCLA keep these folks, especially USC? Well, now there's two things that have happened that could flip that switch. One is the arrival of Lincoln Riley, coach from Oklahoma, and then the other is now being in the Big Ten. Because, if the playoff stays what we thought it might be, a 12-team playoff with access to all the conferences and all that stuff, then it would make some sense to stay in the Pac-12 and ride it out. But because of what might happen with now the expanded Big Ten and SEC, that access might not be there anymore. So USC and UCLA guarantee that they will have access to a top-tier national championship, and all of a sudden, top California recruits have every reason to stay home and play in LA, whereas in the past they have not. And so now Los Angeles, Southern California, really the whole state, is Big Ten country when it comes to recruiting. And I think those things will elevate USC especially, but UCLA as well, to the detriment of other West Coast schools.
So if you're writing the obituary for the Pac-12, how does it read? What happened?
Well, it's easy to point to the collapse of the 12-team playoff renegotiation that just happened here, what was it, a year ago or pretty recently, where the Pac-12 and the ACC, according to reports, were not real happy with everything. So they kind of said, look, let's just not renegotiate it yet. Let's wait until, another year or two, or until the current contract expires, I think in 2026. And then if they would have signed an agreement with the college football playoff, it would have given the Pac-12 and all the Power 5 conferences, most likely based on the reports of what had been negotiated or what they were moving towards, it would have given all the conference champions an automatic berth. And so you had access to the top tier, even if you had 3 or 4 losses, as long as you won your conference. Well, by that not going through, I don't want to blame the Pac-12 or the ACC, because all we know is what's been reported as to why it fell apart. But that not going through took away access from the Pac-12 in a lot of ways. And I think that the Big Ten and the SEC just said, especially the SEC, just said, all right, you guys don't want to do this now. We'll go ahead and do what's best for us. We tried to reach out. We tried to do what's best for college football. We tried to compromise, and looks like that's not working out so well. So we're going to follow our own self-interest. And I think self-interest will have to be the headline on if there is an obituary to the Pac-12, if it does go away. Then I think that the self-interest of college football all around the country meant that other teams had more leverage, more power, more money, more influence, and they used that self-interest in ways that the Pac-12 couldn't match, except for their top teams bolting. And they still you might have more go. You'll have teams go to the Big 12. You might have a couple more go to the Big 10. The Pac-12 right now, I don't know that anybody in SEC country really cares. I don't know if anybody in the SEC country, or a lot of people can name all 12 teams without really thinking about it, right? But out on the West Coast, it's a real sad thing, because, if you compare things to the SEC, nothing really measures up except maybe the Big Ten overall. But out on the West Coast, the Pac-10 is a big deal. And part of the reason is that the Olympic sports and basketball and all that stuff, that's all been very important too. And there's going to be just a massive reshuffle unless Oregon, Washington, Cal, Stanford, Utah, and Colorado all pledged to stay where they are. And I don't know that they'll do that because they can't trust that the others won't go at some point.
So where do we go from here with the college football playoff?
Yeah, that's a good question. It all depends on one thing, and that is if the expanded SEC and Big Ten decide to go their own way and make their own tier with their own playoff, their own commissioner, because you couldn't really have a commissioner of college football with so many disparate interests and resources and everything else in 130 team FBS or 130 plus now. FBS, you just couldn't have one commissioner, but you could if you have these two super conferences. You could have collective bargaining with players, either as a union of employees or a trade association of independent contractors. And include in that, and it would have to really include some form of revenue sharing on top of NIL. And all these different things. Now, if you do that, it's going to be really hard for anybody else to say that they can fairly compete. And what you may end up happening is the top two conferences now having their own NFL-style 2 or 3 game playoff to find the conference champions, and then their own version of the Super Bowl, and that is the de facto college national championship. Now, if they do that, then what they've done is force Notre Dame into a conference. They have forced anybody else that might be able to compete on that level to join one of the two remaining conferences, the Power 2, Big Ten, Pac-12, at, probably poor, except for Notre Dame, a poor compensation rate. I think Rutgers has another 5 or 6 years before they even get a full Big Ten share. They're still working on a partial share. Maryland probably is too. Well, the Big Ten is the one that has all the power right now, and you'll have teams desperate to jump in so they can have access to the big money down the road and the championship down the road. So the thing for people to watch for is not, well, gee, who else joins the Big Ten and the SEC? Because if teams join there, but there's still a 12-team playoff and everybody has access, then there's a shakeup in scheduling. There's a shakeup in what logo is on which jerseys. But ultimately, not a whole lot else will change that much. But if those two conferences break away, leave the NCAA behind, regulate themselves in terms of academics and recruiting, et cetera, and form their own championship, then you're going to have what amounts to March Madness and the NIT, and everybody else is going to have to fight for the best of the rest.
Is this good for college football?
I don't know. I think it's inevitable. I don't think that you can say that it shouldn't have happened because it is in the interest of the teams and the conferences that are doing it. And you can make the case that it's bad for the smaller conferences and smaller teams, definitely bad for FCS, who won't be able to get those big money games now with the top teams. All that stuff is bad. But at the same time, if you wanted to stop this and freeze it at some point, the only way to do it is to force teams that could make more money, that could have more opportunity, that could do more and expand their horizons in the future. You have to force them to not do it. And I don't know how you do that. That's why I think it's best overall for college football if the SEC and Big Ten do not separate completely with their own national championship, because that at least keeps everybody else involved. But at the same time, it's hard for me to say that college football is better off by staying the way it's always been or just with incremental change. I mean, look at the Ford Model T back in the 1920s, whenever it came out. It was the most amazing production automobile. It was unbelievable. And then they ruined it. They ruined it by getting better technology, better cars, better engines. They ruined that Ford Model T. Well, yeah, it's bad for the Model T, and nostalgic people will say, yeah, I really miss the Model T. But, you got a lot of great stuff now that you never envisioned before. So, college football isn't going away. The inventory of games to broadcast in the regular season isn't going to change. You'll still get to see everybody. You'll still have ESPN, broadcasting Tuesday and Wednesday night MAC games to great audiences. People love those games. And if those windows are taken up by the top two conferences and some of their lower tier games, then somewhere else MAC will be broadcast because there's inventory to fill and people love to watch football. So it will exist. Is it bad? In a lot of ways it is. In other ways it's good. Ultimately, I think the worst thing is to do nothing just because change is scary.
So, what I'm hearing though, basically, is the Pac-12, I guess, played Russian roulette with 5 bullets in the barrel in the gun. I mean, bad
Well, I think
analogy,
they might
but
have played Russian roulette without any at all. Is what it sounds like. 'Cause they really had no leverage except for a veto. And so it was seismic when Oklahoma and Texas went to the SEC, right? But the
yeah,
Big
but
12
didn't they all
actually
meet?
added
They were going to
4
be
good
all
schools.
together.
The alliance.
The alliance. What happened to the alliance?
Oh yeah, well, yeah, on a handshake, right? But see, that's where the Pac-12, the remaining teams, can't trust anybody else if they say, yeah, we're committed to the Pac-12. We're going to stay. We're Oregon and we're Washington and we're Stanford, and we are all academic members of the American Association of Universities as top-tier research universities, which the Big Ten prizes. That's something that people, I think that they lose this in the football aspect of it, that the Big 12 conference holds as very valuable their academic relationships with all their schools. And so if those 3 schools say, yeah, we're not going to go to the Big Ten, Big Ten's waiting on Notre Dame anyway. Utah, Colorado, Arizona State, don't worry about it. We're going to be around. We're going to be the Pac-10. We're still going to be a good. And so if Arizona State, Utah, California, Arizona, or Colorado, if they decide that they will then believe those other schools that they're not going to jump to the Big Ten, and they do, the Big 12 window might have closed. And so that alliance that you're talking about was an alliance of trust. That trust was broken, and right now you're a fool if you believe what anybody says.
Is this? I've only got about a minute left with you, Trevor. How much of Oklahoma and Texas was fueled by ESPN, and how much of USC, UCLA was fueled by Fox? Is that true?
I'm not privy to that. I can't say, but it does sound like quite a clash of titans, doesn't it?
It does.
If that's the case, then you can make the case that Fox said, okay, ESPN wants to take over everything. Not so fast. What can we do to one-up them? And you can make a case if that happened. I don't know that it happened, but that would actually be a whole lot of fun. But what we don't know is what will be the effect of streaming companies that may come in, 3 or 4 or 5 of them, to bid on live sports content, so they have more than just binge-watching stuff for people, to get their service for. So we don't even know who's going to be the dominant factor in broadcasting in 10 years. But right now, it seems an awful lot of fun to pit those two together and imagine that it's Godzilla against King Kong,
Maybe you're worthy of a 30 for 30, but, probably not going to happen.
Well, that was ESPN, maybe Fox.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah, I realize that. Trevor, thank you so much for hopping on with us.
All right, I appreciate it, guys. Thanks. Cool down.
Yes. Indeed. Trevor Maddich.
Model T's didn't have air conditioning.
Leave it to Trevor to, make some sense out of it. We will continue with our previews next as we head down. It's probably stickier down in the bayou, down in Red Stick, because it's always stickier down in Louisiana. Ron Higgins is set to join us on the other side as we're live here at the Furniture Factory Bar and Grill.
This is Wes Neighbors with Philip with Eagle Insulation, and we have an announcement to make.
Yes, Wes, we are now Eagle Masonry and Insulation. Still a place to call for your insulation needs, but now we offer masonry services.
What kind of masonry projects can you handle?
Wes, no job is too big, no job is too small. We can do renovations, new construction, outdoor fireplaces, fire pits, brick landscape borders.
Well, when you came out to my house, you did both the insulation and masonry at the same time. You guys did rock for me, you did brick for me, and you insulated my house. That's usually done at the same time that you're building a house.
Absolutely. It really capitalizes on 2 services you need at the same time, and you can get one company to handle both of those.
fill up with Eagle Insulation, will come out, do your installation. He'll do your masonry. They do a great job. They guarantee your work. Check out more online at insulatewitheagle.com and schedule your free examination today. 256-755-1556.
Thanks, Wes.
WCZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Steve Lennox. Wimbledon quarterfinals today. Novak Djokovic on the men's side rallied from 2 sets down to beat Jannik Sinner. Djokovic reaches the semifinals at Wimbledon for an 11th time. He is set to face Cameron Norrie on Friday. Norrie also today winning in 5 sets his match in the quarters against David Goffin. Free agent forward T.J. Warren has agreed to a 1-year deal to join the Brooklyn Nets. That from ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski today. ESPN basketball analyst Seth Greenberg with Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max this morning discussed why a reunion between Kyrie and LeBron could work out.
Kyrie's running out of options. I think between LeBron and if he goes to the Lakers and he becomes a distraction again, right now it's Boston. Now it's Brooklyn. Now it's the Lakers. He's running out of options. The other thing is, the dude's playing for a max contract.
Seth Greenberg today with Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max. Phillies' Bryce Harper talked to the media today, said he'd be back this season. Harper, though, would not give a timetable for his return. Phillies home tonight against the Nationals, 4-3, since Harper went down with a fractured left thumb after getting hit by a pitch against the Padres on June 25th. Red Sox continuing their series at Fenway tonight against the Tampa Bay Rays. Shortstop Xander Bogaerts back in the lineup. Bogaerts did miss the opener on Monday after he took 7 stitches in his left thigh after getting spiked in a win over the Cubs at Wrigley Field on Sunday. Anthony Rizzo, late scratch from the Yankees lineup tonight due to back stiffness. Yankees about to get underway in Pittsburgh as they open up a series against the Pirates.
Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max.
Kevin Durant. Whoever gives me the most assets, that's going to potentially be my trade partner. I'm going to need more than 5 first-round picks.
This and more. Wednesday morning at 6 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on ESPN2.
97.7 ESPN, The Zone. Welcome to The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. 256-576-4977.
That's how I roll. And I'm not going to drink and drive anymore.
That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Wes and Steve.
Back here with you at the Furniture Factory Bar and Grill. We will keep an eye on the Braves and the Cardinals. We will join that game in progress as first pitch is a little over 17 minutes away. Ian Anderson on the hill for the Atlanta Braves, coming off of a 63 win last night over the Cardinals. Our previews of the preview continue as we walk up to SEC Media Days coming up in a little over a week and a half, and we land on Red Stick, LSU, Louisiana State University, as they welcome in new administration. Brian Kelly makes his way down to the Bayou, accent and all, as we welcome in Ron Higgins, who's kind enough to join us to talk a little LSU football. How you doing, Ron?
How you guys doing, man?
Doing well. Always fun to talk this time of year and maybe gauge the temperature of the team heading into this fall. So, what did you see this spring, Ron?
I saw a team that was a lot better organized. It looked like it had a purpose. It looked like a coaching staff that was led by one guy who was the voice of authority, and players seemed to respond. I mean, they like Brian Kelly. He does give a lot of his leaders ownership of the team, but also he is it's his way or the highway. And frankly, it's kind of what this team needed. It needed some discipline. It needed some order. And it got it now. I mean, now it's got to go back and stockpile some talent, particularly on the lines. But other than that, they like what they see.
Well, there was a lot made about the relationship between a certain wide receiver and the new head coach. How would you evaluate Keyshawn Boutt's relationship with Brian Kelly?
I think it's fine. Boutte was hurt. I know he was kind of looking around, maybe thought he could go somewhere else, and Brian Kelly just kind of waited him out and basically said, we want you involved as much as you can be involved in the spring and see what we're doing. And so they have a good relationship. Apparently, Boutte got enough NIL money for somebody to hang around, which is kind of like the college football these days. Loyalty is spilled in cash. So he's back. And again, they offensively, it's the line that's probably the biggest question mark going in. Quarterback is a question mark, but I really, I'm on everybody's in somebody's camp on this, and I'm in the camp of the guy who I think both springs, this spring and last spring, was the best quarterback. He was the best quarterback before he got hurt. That's Miles Brennan.
Yeah, no, he was. I remember even the game that he got hurt in, that he played hurt in at Missouri. Boy, he was awfully impressive even in that game.
Yeah, he's been here forever. Just watched him in the spring game. He's the only quarterback I felt that was kind of there wasn't much thinking involved. He just knew where to go with the ball. It was smooth. The people had confidence in him, and he put up points. And ultimately, that's what it comes down to: is who's going to put up points. And I think in the preseason and fall, I think he'll win the job. I'll be surprised if he does it. And they have other contenders. Jaden Daniels from Arizona State, who was more of a pass option guy, but not a great thrower. And Garrett Nussmeier, was a freshman last year, came back again this year. Only played 4 games last year, so he was taking his redshirt. He had a good spring. And then you have the freshman Walker Howard. But really, I think their quarterback is fine. And I think their running backs and receivers is fine. It's the offensive line you got to worry. It's got to come together. At times, it was shaky in the spring, but they have a lot of new faces and transfers, and they, honestly, their best offensive linemen in the spring, and people will say, well, they must be in trouble if they're true freshmen, their best offensive linemen. Well, Will Campbell will start a left tackle. He's a freshman, and he's pretty damn special. He's really, really good.
We had this conversation in the first hour, Ron, about Saban's first year in Tuscaloosa, of kind of his way or the highway, and that 7-6 year, but it certainly did establish that foundation of what Nick has done in Tuscaloosa. Can you potentially see some bumps in the road, i.e. losses that could swell into some issues in the locker room and trying to get everybody on the right playing field moving forward, of this being that transition type of scenario?
Well, they got Florida State in the opener, and that's in the Dome, and you kind of really need to win that one. And they got Mississippi State at home in the third week. Their schedule is favorable for a pretty quick start. Their first 5 and 6 are at home or in Louisiana, so it's pretty favorable for a start. But they have SEC games. Their first SEC games, first 2 or 3 are at home, Mississippi State and Tennessee. So it's favorable. Plus, I think the look at this team will change even in preseason when they get a few more people in. They've got some transfers who haven't, weren't here in the spring. A freshman or two, so it'll change even more. But he signed like 14 transfers. It's not what he wants to do every year. But considering LSU had like 35 scholarship players going to their bowl game last year, it was an absolute need to find some people with experience. And so he went and signed 14 guys, and a lot of them are pretty good people.
So, Ron, where do you think LSU ends the year? Because, you know, they're kind of like, to me, they're a box of chocolates right now, yet we really don't know what we're going to get. And the West is maybe as good as it's been ever, really, from top to bottom.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to tell. I mean, I think they can be 9-3, 8-4, but I don't think they'll go better than 9-3. I think the question really is the offensive line. The defensive line is outstanding. They're just one of the better ones they've had in a while. But again, you're looking at a West if you don't know you don't know what you'll get out of Arkansas. I mean, if their quarterback plays good, will that be enough for them? We know what Alabama has. Auburn, I won't even try to even guess what's going on there.
I mean, they're a box of chocolates, but I think they'll be better than people think. You got Arkansas, you got Ole Miss, who, you know, they're a box of chocolates.
Everybody's
too.
falling in love with Ole Miss.
Yeah, I mean, but they lost everybody. They lost their, the only
King.
person still there is Joey Freshwater.
Yeah, that's about it. Really, and they lost all their skill people.
Yep.
I mean, all their skill people. They lost, their linebackers. And he's trying to plug in some new people with some transfers.
I thought that they're known to have the best amount of transfers. The reason that I give them, a check mark, but who knows how they'll fit in. I will say that you never know what he's going to do on game days.
Yeah. It's a whole new world, man. It's like almost like looking at the NFL every year now. You get so many free agents, you don't know really quite how they're going to fit in. And when it's like now when you evaluate college football, you just it's like evaluating the NFL. I mean, there's so many people changing teams. How's this guy going to fit in? How soon can he fit in? Then will he stay? At least in the NFL, you have some sort of boundaries as far as contracts with your agency. Every year now, it's free agency in college football. If I don't like it, I'm leaving. I get more money somewhere else. But I tell you what, I know people think that football coaches make too much money. The average fan does. But what they got to put together now, it may not. They earn their money. They earn their money.
If they win, they absolutely do. The thing about it is you can do a great job everywhere, and then not win. That's the thing. You can do a great job off field, and then your quarterback gets hurt, and then they want to run you off. Make up some stuff and run you off. So it's
heck. The last two coaches at LSU, I mean, both won over 70% of their games. Both won a national championship. You tell me, Ron, which former coach has a better reputation down there among LSU fans? Is it Les Miles or Ed Orgeron?
Good God, it's a loaded question. Man. Well, you had Les, who was kind of daffy and who ended up getting on student workers in his football office. And and then you had Ed, who won the national championship and got a humongous lottery raise almost immediately, and then decided that he was going to basically take his shirt off for the next 2 years and flex and look for, and go into bars. And I don't know, man.
Man, success is hard.
Hey, that's why they want somebody boring like Brian Kelly. They want somebody, Brian Kelly he will do neither. He's a pretty straightforward guy.
Well, I'm going to tell you, I think if Coach Saban had been at LSU for 4 years, Connor was there, they would have won 2 national championships. They had so much talent. It's crazy.
There's no doubt about it. None. There's nothing. Even LSU fans will say that. I mean, they still all the ones that don't like Nick, they actually love Nick. Believe me. They just wish they had it. They wish they had it.
I know. Well, I should have wrote a book. I didn't. Talked about it, but so I'd put on my LSU shirt and I go down there, and I wish I just wrote down what everybody'd say to me.
I know.
But it was. Listen, it was so much fun.
The tailgating.
There's nowhere else. There's no place even comes close. I've been a lot of places. I've yet to see better. People pay thousands. I mean, I think for a prime spot, it's $10,000 a year.
Yeah.
And listen, they might not go into the game. Depends on who it is.
Exactly. And also, honestly, if they lose, they're not happy. But you know what? Let's go eat.
Yeah, jambalaya makes everybody happy.
When was that? A couple of years ago, the end of the LSU Mississippi State game.
Yeah, there was nobody there. Yeah, there was maybe 7,000 people.
There wasn't anybody in there.
And they almost won that game.
Yes, they did.
Yeah. Yeah,
you never knew.
Down here. But that carries over from coast to coast, and that's going to be like that forever. LSU fans take pride in their tailgates and their cooking. And
I knew that. So, Ron, the first game I went down there, I got up at 6:30 to get my wife and I coffee, and there was a guy
in the RV.
No, this is for the RV.
Oh, okay.
You have to have an RV down there, though. You'll figure that out. It takes you a couple years of sitting in traffic. But so, I go down and there's two guys at the ice machine. It's 6:30 in the morning. And they're loading up their cooler and headed to the damn stadium. It was an 8 p.m. kickoff.
Oh, I know. Believe me. I have an older brother who tailgated for like 40-something years, and he retired from tailgating after the 2019 season. He went out on top. But he'd often get there. He'd often get there at 8 o'clock, 8:30 in the morning, and was there all day. All day. So it's a marathon.
I know it. So the other thing I remember is everybody recalls that the game of the century, 9-6, was in Tuscaloosa, and how many people were there? It was crazy outside the stadium. But I think it was outdone the next year in Baton Rouge because it looked like
that was scoreless through three quarters, right?
Yeah, but I'm talking about the next year. Down in Baton Rouge, before the game, I couldn't find a parking spot, and I finally found one. I had to walk to the stadium, and it looked like something from Goldfinger that somebody dropped, and people just passed out everywhere on park benches, on the ground. I guarantee you there were 300,000 people. 300,000 people outside the stadium didn't even go in.
A lot of them get there early enough to pass out and rally and make it back.
Anyway, so what is the vibe you get? Because I know a lot of the former players aren't happy with the current administration, some of the things they have done, I guess. From a lot of NFL players that used to work out there were asked not to work out there. There's some things that have gone on, I think, behind the scenes. But it seems like the LSU faithful are starting to get behind them.
Yeah.
But is everybody coming together, I guess, is because that's been a problem too. I feel like the LSU people aren't together.
I think if he comes out and wins, he'll be more behind it. I think the vibe I get, they just want somebody to come in and it felt like that was organized and you saw a direction and a plan. And that you never really saw that with Ed. And you got that year where you just hit the lottery with you chose your right assistant coaches to hire. Joe Burrow matured, and all of a sudden you just went off and went crazy. But there was no really plan after that. He hired bad. Ed hired bad coordinators who didn't fit, and he kept trying to. Ed's biggest problem he was trying to recreate 2019, both in 2020 and 2021. Trying to recreate that. You can't recreate 2019. You'll never duplicate that ever.
Well, he went through a midlife crisis. We watched it. You watched it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, and so all that together, it just I think he couldn't hire coordinators good enough, or veteran guys who kind of knew what they were doing. He hired guys that just had no experience, very little experience, and it just didn't work. And you can't have two, break-even years coming off a national championship year and looking like you don't know what you're doing. You ask him a simple question, he had the same answer every time. Really couldn't answer it.
I always thought Dave Aranda was, when he lost 10, I knew that was going to hurt a lot because, he just kept people from scoring.
Yeah, Dave Aranda, people in the last 4 or 5 games of that 2019 season when everybody was healthy on defense, LSU flat shut people down.
Oh yeah, really good football teams too. Clemson was one of them.
Yeah.
And what they did to Georgia and Oklahoma was awful. They just
undressed them. Once you got everybody healthy, that team defensively was unbelievable. A lot of the year they had a lot of people hurt. They had to outscore people, so people would say, "Well, I don't know how they win national championship because they can't play. Their defense is getting too much." It was a matter of getting everybody healthy. Once that happened, it was pretty much over. And again, you got a guy now who's, he's chased a national championship. Now, I think Brian Kelly wanted to go somewhere where he felt like he had a chance to win a national championship. At this stage in his career, he went somewhere where they had better facilities and better recruiting area, better everything. And he'll never say it on the record, but look, you can win a national championship at LSU. I don't know if you can win one at Notre Dame. With everything, all things considered, maybe some academic restrictions, some of the facilities, maybe the schedule you play. I just feel like, look, I think I just never say it, but he probably look, God, if they're smiling, they'd always want to win national championship at LSU. I'm sure if they can.
So is making a bowl game this year considered a success?
Yeah. I think to get one of the higher level SEC bowls, that probably would be a success. Yeah, I think with this team, I just think defensively they're going to be outstanding from the very beginning. It's just how quickly the offense can catch up. That's the biggest thing on this thing is how quickly can the offense catch up. Because defensively, they're not going to be giving up much. Their defensive line is outstanding. The linebackers are good. They've got good DBs as always. I just think, you might see some lower scoring games in the start of the season. I can't get a grip on the offense because of the offensive line and how his quarterbacks are going to play. But I know they have great skill people. That's the whole deal.
Well, you mentioned that defense. Ali Gay, we've seen quite a bit of him, and I assume he's 100% healthy heading into the fall.
Yeah, Ali Gay is healthy. BJ Ojulari, the man that you got, their defensive tackle, who was a true freshman last year and started, Mason Smith. He is a force. He is the force on that line. He's 6'5" and about close to 300. He's absolutely just chiseled, quick, mean, nasty, and they like their line. They like their defense, and they feel like their defense is going to keep them in games. It all depends what the offense can do for them.
Ron.
So, Ron, last question. Who's the guy that besides obviously the defensive tackle you just mentioned and and the freshman offensive lineman? Is there a running back, wide receiver, or somebody? You mentioned some freshmen that come in that might help. Who do you foresee being maybe a surprise that helps LSU get to that bowl game?
Well, he's been around, but he wasn't around last year because reportedly the LSU academic people kind of screwed up his counting how many classes he passed or hadn't passed. But John Emery, who's now a senior, and didn't play last year at all, and played had a good year the year before. Keep an eye on him. I think he can be the next have a great year as a running back. And again, he sat out last year because of academic problems, and he seems to be ready to roll.
Well, you could probably write a dissertation on John Emery's tenure there down in LSU. It feels like anything that could go wrong has gone wrong.
Yeah, he's had injuries. He's academic. He also, when he got here, I think he had LASIK surgery.
Yep.
Because he was basically almost blind in one eye and didn't realize it. And so he's gone through a lot. He's one of those guys who, he's hung around and he has a really good year because he kind of, stuck it out and didn't transfer, didn't make excuses, just kind of went back to work. So you kind of hope he has a good year.
Yeah, those stories are getting fewer and far between now that we are in the new age of NIL. I totally agree, Ron.
Yeah, it's hard to find guys. Like I said, I don't know, man. I'm kind of wonder, and I kind of wonder during basketball season because LSU obviously has a whole new team in basketball because of what. But I always kind of wonder now how much scouting do head football coaches and basketball coaches do of the opponent and to look for talent for their next team. Like, I'd like to get that guy on my team next year. I mean, you just kind of wondering about that. If that guy became available, where could we fit him in? I swear,
well, hey, Ron, I think you need look no further than Tuscaloosa's secondary as to whether or not someone may have caught someone's eye from Baton Rouge. So
yeah, and the kid can play. I mean, he can flat play. He's a hell of a cornerback. Gets us off the field transgression cleared up. But I can tell you, as a football player, he's a damn first round draft choice. I mean, and he played really, really well at LSU. He really, really did.
Ron, appreciate the insight. Safe travels to Atlanta week after next. Look forward to seeing you there at the College Football Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I'll be there my first day or two. I kind of miss having Birmingham. I'm a traditionalist, man. I just something about just hanging out in the lobby at the Winfrey and trying to get autographs.
Don't you look forward to going to the dungeon?
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you, Ron.
Thank you.
That is Ron Higgins. You can check him out on Twitter at Ron Higg, Higg, with TigerDetails.com. Let's take our first time out. Open it up to your phone calls on the other side. We'll explore both South Carolina and LSU's schedule.
Log on today, 977ESPN.com. You're listening to The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Ann Adams with Berkshire Hathaway Rise Real Estate is the one name to know if you're buying or selling real estate. With years of local experience, Ann Adams offers buyers in-depth knowledge of the local housing market and will narrow available properties down to those you'll be interested in so you can save time when shopping for your new home. If you're ready to sell, Ann offers a seamless process using accurate pricing and expert negotiation skills to make sure you get a fair price for your home. Call Ann Adams today at 256-337-2625 or log on bhhsriserealestate.com.
Isn't the story of the prodigal son an amazing story? Basically, a rowdy boy who literally wished his father dead, ran away, and consumed his wealth with hard and fast living. Yet the father looked for his return every day, and when the boy got tired of eating pig slop, he decided to return. What did the father do? As soon as he saw that boy, he ran to him, threw his arms around him, and killed the fatted calf for a great celebration. Hey, I'm John Dees, pastor of the Cross Point Church. If you're looking for a church home, come see us, smack dab across the street from the YMCA in Madison.
Hey folks, this is Arthur Seaton, managing partner at University Kia, here letting you know we are proud supporters of Alabama A&M University football. Stop into University Kia today and shop our large selection of new Kias, including the all-new Telluride 8-passenger SUV, the stylish new K5, and sporty new Seltos. Visit universitykia.com and view all our great offers and get pre-approved in minutes so you can drive home your new Kia today, because we want to see ya in the Kia. Go Bulldogs!
This time of year, it's hot, but with Brooks & Collier, you can be outside and comfortable. That's why Brooks & Collier has deep discounts on a large selection of patio umbrellas, furniture, and grills. With these patio umbrellas, you're sure to have a nice, shaded spot to relax. Lucy knows the best spot is a shaded spot. So if you're looking to spruce up your backyard and make it more comfortable, visit North Alabama's indoor and outdoor living headquarters for over 75 years. 813 Meridian Street and at brooksandcollier.com. Tired of the same old menu options everywhere you go? Then you need to try Metro Diner in Huntsville and Madison. The award-winning Metro Diner serves up signature dishes like their Charleston shrimp and grits, famous fried chicken and waffles with strawberry butter, and lots more. Their entire menu is available anytime, breakfast, lunch, or dinner. And stop by for brunch on Saturday or Sunday and enjoy the lowest price mimosas in town. Airport Road, Huntsville, and Highway 72 in Madison. In diner or at home, make it Metro Diner.
When the most respected company worldwide puts its name on a real estate sign, that's a sign you'll want to see. When a company known for straight talk enters real estate, that's a sign the market is changing. Confidence is back, and that's good to know. Introducing Berkshire Hathaway Home Services. Look for our sign in a front yard near you.
This is Ann Adams. Call me at 256-337-2625.
An independently owned and operated franchisee of BHH Affiliate, LLC.
Back here at the Furniture Factory Bar and Grill, along with Wes Neighbors. Steve Moulton back here with you. Some first inning trouble for the Braves as the Cardinals have runners on first and second, 2 out though, and they have touched one to home plate and they lead it 1-0. Ian Anderson on the hill for the Braves. Good stuff there from Ron Higgins. We talked some South Carolina and some LSU. Didn't really have a lot of time to get into South Carolina after talking to Tommy Suggs. The full schedule for the Gamecocks, we mentioned it in the first hour, with a home game against Georgia State, then at Arkansas, home against Georgia. Then you would assume back-to-back wins with Charlotte and South Carolina State to close out the month of September and to open up the month of October. Then at Kentucky, home against Texas A&M. Missouri is also a home game in the Battle of Columbia's. At Vanderbilt, at Florida, home against Tennessee, and then at Clemson. Last year, that was a 7-win team for Shane Beamer.
With smoke and mirrors.
3-5 in conference play.
I mean, we talked about the East Carolina game. Mm-hmm. There's no way they should have won that game.
None.
And after that game, they got better. But they were horrible in that game.
Yeah.
But they did fight, as was correctly stated by
Tommy.
I mean, I watched that game. It was hard to watch.
South Carolina, if you tell me they're an 8-win team or a 4-win team, I could buy both arguments.
Yes, absolutely.
So, in other words, I am saying who knows about the Gamecocks.
The SEC to me is totally fascinating this year because of all the change.
Yeah.
You know, and you have the deal at Auburn with Brian Harsin. How do they handle all the transfers? You have all the Ole Miss, same thing, but now they're supposed to have all these great transfers coming in, but they lost all their coaches, and he lost his brother. When his best friend was the strength coach, he left.
Yeah.
Just a lot of weird things going on. You have to see how it shakes out. You know, you got Arkansas who gets their quarterback back, and you think they're going to be better, but who knows? They lost a lot of people too. You got LSU with a new guy that comes highly rated, but you know when he got there, they had 35 people on scholarship. Think about 39 or 38. Still, not very many.
Yeah, it was
Half
in the
as many,
30s.
yeah. So a lot of different people there. It's just going to be interesting. But the West has a lot of talented players, so we'll see how that goes.
LSU schedule. This is how it shakes out for the Bengal Tigers as they head to the Caesars Superdome in New Orleans for the Louisiana kickoff between LSU and Florida State. Then home game against Southern. Boy, a long road trip there for Southern. Another home game against Mississippi State. And finally, to close out the month of September, a home game against New Mexico at Auburn on October the 1st.
Big game for both of those schools.
It
That
really
is a
is.
huge game.
Host Tennessee. Is this the first time Tennessee is going back to LSU since? It can't be the first time since
I think it is.
a guy named Dooley was the head coach.
I don't remember.
I know
LSU went there the next year.
I know a certain guy who's hitting buttons back at the station would probably know that answer. And it is the first time.
Yeah.
What a moment that was.
T-Bob
You think you win it, you think you lose it, and I can't say that. So then Tennessee comes calling to Red Stick at Florida. I think this is the first road trip to Florida since back-to-back home games for Florida after Florida.
They're
Am I mixing up my years?